Oh, you guys should be able to see me in there, orange, red, and yellow guy. Yep. So I have it set up to white, hot, black, cold. So obviously, this joke's not really going to work well here, but that means I'm the hottest thing inside the picture. Sorry, Johns, but that's just the way it's going to go. Last night, I literally had 9 ladies on the tour. So they ranged from 18 to like 70, and they were all whistling, and I was like, okay, I need to calm that one down. Like, yeah, I can't pull that joke on 9 ladies. The wife hates that joke, by the way. She's like, you really got to get rid of that. But anyway, we're literally looking for blue and black spots to either take shape or move on their own. So are we going to capture something with this every single night that I use it? No. I capture about 4 to 6 pieces solid per year that I can actually say are actual paranormal entities of some sort. So if we're not recording, we won't capture anything. So again, we're going to record like intermittently with this, because as great as this hardware is for the phone, the software for it sucks. So if we record for too long, we will lose all footage, unfortunately. So I've already emailed FLIR, they can't fix it, but it doesn't matter because I'll stop us in between locations so that way we're not doing the fart test for thermal imaging, basically. So with that said, Amelia, this one's going to go to you.
Put it right here.
She's like, oh yeah, I'm all about it. So you're going to hold that horizontal all night, just like that. Whenever I tell you to stop the video, you're going to hit that red square. It'll turn to a circle. And then when you restart it, make sure you're in the same starting position. I splice all the videos together, and if you start off sideways, we have a sideways video because YouTube doesn't know the flippies. There's also a blue dot bouncing around on that screen. That blue dot is giving you the coldest spot in the frame at that moment. So it's also going to give you a temperature, and then we have an ambient temperature in the center. So it kind of helps direct your eye to find those cold spots, is basically what it's doing. Let's get out the next camera. I'm excited about this one because this one is brand new. I've had it about a week. It's an upgrade from the last one, which was not working for me at all. It just started to break down after over a year's time. So, quick demo with this guy. As soon as I get it plugged in here. Sometimes it's hard to work in the dark. You think I would get used to it after working this long in the dark? Alright, so quick demo. You guys should not be able to see me in there. It should be pretty dark in that screen. Let's turn on some lights. Should be in a purple screen now, right?
Yep.
Very easy to see me now at this point. So we're working with full spectrum lighting here. These are infrared lights. This is light we cannot see with our own eyes. I literally just illuminated 10 bulbs. So again, the whole screen's going to be purple for us. The hope here is that we're going to be able to capture something we wouldn't normally be able to see with our own eyes. This thing has been great for orbs. So again, for the past week, I would say 5 out of the 7 times that I've had it out, I've had definitive orbs that were not insects, things I can actually, debunk pretty quickly or prove them pretty quickly. So again, we're going to record with this guy most of the night just because it can. The last one could not. So I'm already going to start this one. Sarah.
Good move. She's careful with everything.
It's okay. It's a little heavy. You got to really, it's okay to grip it. It's pretty sturdy.
Like this is the place to hold it?
That's it. That's the handle. So now that both cameras are out, we're going to be in some spaces where people don't like their cars to be filmed, and they don't like to be filmed themselves. If I do like an Andy's Coming from Toy Story, that basically means you're going to be playing on a cell phone, which is part of the reason why I handed it to you, because teenagers with a cell phone, that looks natural. However, with your camera, Sarah, you're going to point it at the ground. So again, yeah, right now it's recording. We're fine. You can keep it, recording on me. People do love in those apartments above me, so try not to be like super YouTube girl and pointing it everywhere. All right, let's get into the next pieces. Let me make sure I got the right one. Perfect. Spirit boxes. I'm going to be using a couple different spirit boxes tonight. Spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. So, basically, your TV shows will kind of give you all the white noise, then Zach Bagans tells you the bullshit he thinks he heard in the middle of the show, like put it on the middle of the screen, trying to convince you of the same thing. We're going to be doing this in real time. So what does that mean for us? This is sweeping through the FM radio stations at a pretty slow rate. I slow it down on purpose because first off, you guys aren't listening to white noise for 2 hours straight, plus all the history I'm going to give you. Somebody's going to fall asleep. I want the radio chatter to come through. So DJs, song lyrics, commercials, whatever you hear, I want to know what you hear. If it says buy a Kia today, I want to know that you heard buy a Kia today. This one is going to record the entire session for us. What does that mean for you? You're going to get the recording back tomorrow morning. John's going to have an earbud in. He's going to be the only one to hear it in real time. So I'm going to be writing down whatever you hear in real time. So in the event that you struggle, it's not a big deal. This is not an easy task to do. I'm going to go through the recording tomorrow morning and give you about 15 to 25 more markers on top of whatever he heard and give you whether it's relevant or not. so that way you guys all get used to like how to listen to this device. So some of those, things that I'm going to find might not be relevant. So, John, I do not want earbuds back because your earwax is gross.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
I
you
was
should have
gonna
seen my
ask if that
buds
was-
today.
Yeah, they're
Yeah, I was
throwaways.
like-
Undo the twist tie. Your volume is right here. It's a wheel, so it's not
Okay.
the button. You'll mess with the recording, but you can mess with that volume all you want to. It will not mess with the recording.
Cool.
So again, there's a little twist tie on there.
I think we were all probably thinking like, oh my God.
Yeah. No. I buy I have boxes of them come in.
Oh, pure, yeah.
I buy them in bulk. I don't want them back. Just a business expense. It's all a write-off.
Oh yeah.
He just takes it, cleans it, and
Yeah, I know,
puts
right?
it back in the bag.
Taking a little video of you guys. So like, yay!
All right. So if you guys watch the TV shows, you've probably seen an ovulus before. That's the one that actually gives you the words actually on the screen. We're going to be using something very similar. So with this guy, obviously we can see the name Edna right in the middle of this screen. So it's going to save all of the terms to a list. So last night we actually had 93 terms come up. Here's what I'm going to tell you about this. This is a phone app. It's meant to try to scare people. It's meant to be a game and a host. 80% of this is going to be BS. It's not going to mean anything. It's the other 5 to 20% that I get excited about. Obviously, I'll tell you why it's relevant and then give you guys the link to verify it. So with this, I will tell you, I love using this guy specifically, and it has the word clown. So we're pretty much just going to throw that one away. Like, that's garbage to me. There's no clowns nearby that I know of. But at any rate, the ovuluses that you guys see on television has 2,048 terms in it. This guy has over 9,100. So it has like 4 times the amount of terms that the actual device meant to do this actually has. So I don't want to see every word that pops up. I will come to you when I want to see where the word list is at. Otherwise, we're going to be out here until like 4 in the morning because there's going to be a lot of terms that pop up. And John, you just carry the bag. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I've been carrying a bag all day.
Like, can you carry this? It's heavy.
Let's go to Charleston. I haven't carried your bag in a while.
I think she pressed the button.
I don't know what
You broke a cell phone? Really? Just slide it up.
Oh, okay.
You're good. Alright, so this last one, you guys have probably seen like the blinky light EMF detectors on television. Those are pretty sensitive. This one's way more accurate. That's why I like to use this one. I have those blinky light ones, but this one is way more accurate. So John, you're going to be my multitasker. Anything above 2.5 on the big numbers,
Oh, yeah.
I want to know what's going on.
Word.
We're going to debunk it or prove it pretty quickly.
Okay.
The bottom number is ambient temperature. So in the event Amelia finds something on her camera,
Boom, down.
got it. The last thing it has a REM pod built into it. If anything gets close to that antenna that I just pulled out, it's going to go off. The closer it gets, the higher it's going to go.
This is the creepy one.
So,
I'm so excited.
we don't use this all the time as far as the REM pods. I'll show you more about that at the next location.
Gotcha.
So,
Can I ask you a
focus
quick
on your
question?
numbers.
Not about
Absolutely.
this. Are we going to that cemetery?
Which cemetery?
Okay, it's
We
a
have
small
dozens.
one. Everything's very close together. Bulldog goes to it.
So, here's what I'll tell you about Bulldog. Bulldog has exclusive rights to pretty much the entire town. They
Okay.
go wherever they want to go. So, do we
place-
go inside of a cemetery? We do not.
Okay.
If we get close to one, we do.
That's cool. That's
So-
all right. Yeah, it's like something happened.
We were walking out and like it felt like water like dripped out of the trees, and it had been raining earlier. And I
No, it hadn't.
It did earlier, but that's why I thought it was. Like I saw him go like this, and I did that, but then there was like nothing wet in my hair. I was like, that was weird. And I was
Got
like,
the
did you have water in your
kid
hair?
goes or something.
And he was like, no.
Awesome.
And then,
Yeah,
yeah, just
yeah.
like we were both like,
I thought this would be really neat.
like
for
there
that.
was
Welcome to
no water
Charleston.
in the hair, but
Strange
it like
things
felt
happen
it go
here.
pat 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 like pitter patter.
This is the best place. You know, all the ghost tours I've been on, this town seems to be like the best.
We have a lot of really great historians here that like really know their stuff. Have been
Yeah.
doing this for decades.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and I pick their brains all the time.
Hell
so
yeah.
I will sneak in on their tours. Like I'll buy a ticket. They don't know who I am because I'm their competitor, and I'll go and pick their brains and I'll record the whole thing and go home and listen to it. Like where were we? That maybe I can add to my tour later.
Awesome.
I don't have a whole lot of friends in this industry. I have one, and he's pretty cool with me bouncing things off of him and that kind of thing because he's been doing it for 25 years. So, but he loves what I do out here. So he's like fascinated with the fact that I'm as busy as I normally am. He's like, I've never seen anybody come in as a private tour the way you do it, and you're busy every night, and your ratings are through the roof.
Best
He's
of
like,
the best 2021.
yeah,
We saw that.
Jobless choice. That's
Yeah,
right.
man.
Yeah, man.
About to get that Forget Your Guy because I just signed up with them.
Nice.
All right, so let's kind of start why we're here, right? There's a reason why we start here on this creepy corner. So Big John's behind me. Big John's is actually, you can see it says established in 1955. This used to be owned by a football player, Big John Kennedy. Most people use just one earbud, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
In case you want to play with the
I'm just
volume.
trying to wait till I can hear which
Yeah,
one.
I got you. So Big John played for the 1947 New York Giants. This was his bar. He used to sit in the back of it and tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. And one night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough. So Big John has the bartender throw them out. They leave pretty angry. They come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on, slams down his beer on the bar, and he goes over and just starts pounding these guys into the floor and just beating the heck out of them. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck and the bullet lands behind him in the wall. He gets up after being shot. He goes back to the bartender and tells him to get him another beer, gets the 2 guys on the floor, an ambulance. So, you guys normally think of a haunted building, it means somebody died there. Not necessarily in this case. What's haunting the place is the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. Even this new renovation, even if they filled it in, it's a possibility. It's a great possibility that the blood of Big John is still in the building. It was his place. He's dead and gone now. But people that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is kind of like your heated warning. If anybody feels any of those symptoms tonight, I need to know immediately. It's a very, very big deal. Safety is always a major concern when we're out doing this every single night. So again, that is your heated warning. I won't say that people haven't passed out from this tour in the past. So we'll talk more about that as we kind of move along. Sarah's already like, all right, I'm not so sure now. So let's get our minds off our own health, because that's literally the scariest thing I'm probably going to tell you all night long, because it deals with your own health. If you haven't heard about our big earthquake in 1886, because every tour guide talks about it, I'm going to talk about it again. Because Big John's, the building, is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantle you see in the middle of the building wraps around the front of the building as well. A piece of it from the front broke off during the earthquake, struck somebody in the back of the head, and killed them. And they say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street. I say apparently and allegedly a lot with that because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour. Now that I bring it up again. Right, Sarah? Yeah, good job. Good job, you jerk. All right, so you guys ready to go something?
Did I push something?
Nope, you're good.
Okay. Right.
So your little 2 pointers are probably because we're standing on a sidewalk and we have parking meters and electrical lines. So I'll be debunking a lot of things for you as we kind of move throughout the night. All right, we're going to go this way.
Cool. Yeah, no.
Alright, so stop number 1. I want you guys to all think of your time with me, like I said earlier, kind of like a ghost hunting 101 class. So you all have different devices. Again, feel free to intermingle them among your party only. So don't intermingle because I do sanitize everything twice a day. But you're going to progress throughout the night. This one's very simple, so I can show you more about your devices. This is the big red barn where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. You guys can probably smell them. I can't. I'm down here 7 nights a week. So the history here is very simple. It's a one-liner. I did that on purpose so we can actually talk more about your gear. This is the same red barn that actually held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Very simple, right? So let's talk about the spirit boxes, because we have 2 of them in play tonight. Yes, so 2 of them in play. Spirit boxes, this is not television. This is not a Ouija board. This is not, is somebody here? Because that's what everybody wants to ask, right? So if somebody says no, that means somebody's here. So we're not going to be asking yes and no questions all night long. You guys are all here, whether you're skeptics or not, for some kind of paranormal proof. And you're not going to get it from yes and no questions like what they do on television. So in a space like this, I would normally say we're not going to spend a lot of time here. This is just so I can show you your devices and we'll move on. I would say ask a question you already know the answer to, like what color is the big red barn? Obviously, we're going to be looking and listening for the color red. So in the event that the color red is not available to a DJ or song lyric at the time you're asking the question, something might come through like fire truck, blood, heart. Those 3 things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer. It actually, heart, human heart, actually came through on a spirit box last night. So I was kind of in this space. So it was kind of like a right on cue. So with that said, I would take that as a specific answer. What color is the big red barn? Blood. I'm good. However, most of the night, I'm going to require that there are 2 things actually happening to be able to verify what's going on and to be able to call it paranormal. For example, let's say Janae's word list has the word art on it. Okay? That doesn't mean anything by itself. But then John over here, here's the number 40. again, nothing by itself, but you put them together. Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's football team. Does that make sense now, how we're going to be putting these clues together? Again, it's all about clues. A lot of the times tonight, I'm going to say, that's kind of vague, or let's wait for a secondary clue to verify it. And I won't reveal certain things on purpose, because I don't want to get your hopes up and put subliminal messaging in your head. So I do withhold information purposely so everybody has a genuine experience. So let's kind of keep that in mind as we go through each space. As far as the cameras go, we'll start with Amelia because you got yours first. So you've already seen that blue dot bouncing around, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to try to do two things for us. You're going to try to keep one of us in view, even though I said you're going to keep outsiders out of view. They don't like to be filmed. So keeping us in view basically gives you an array of color. So that way it's much easier to see those blue and black spots moving or taking shape on their own. So you should always be kind of in the middle of the crowd, or if you're filming from a distance, make sure there's a person in view. We're going to be the warmest thing out here. That's the reason why. The second thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out of view. The reason being is because that blue dot will default to the blue sky, the empty sky, looking for a surface. There's no surface. So again, it's going to be difficult to do that in some spaces. Just try your best. Always try to keep people in and sky out. That's your job of the night. Sarah. I'm so excited that you guys are so stoked. Like, I can feel the energy like bouncing off of you. And I hate using the term energy, but this is literal energy coming from you guys. So,
I'm
with,
just nervous. Okay.
with your particular camera, again, with it being as big and bulky as it is, again, Andy's coming pointed straight down. But I'm also going to point out something else. There's another light on here that we don't use. So it is night vision. I don't use night vision specifically because it draws attention from the other tours. The other tours will always come by and say, what's he actually doing now? What's you know that nothing to do, you know, and they don't know that you're getting the data back tomorrow morning. So with yours, it's all about the slower the movements, the better. When there's more people on the tour, I actually use laser grids to be able to determine the motion coming through your particular camera. So again, we don't have those extra people here tonight, obviously, because we're in 5. But normally that's what I would do, is you would be paired up with a laser grid person, and they would literally be pointing lasers at the ground, and you would be filming through them, hoping something's going to go through the lasers for us to see. So with it, you know, just kind of going naked the way that it is, we're basically going to be looking a lot for orbs and things coming through, anomalous shapes that I can't identify coming through the camera. So the slower the movements, the much easier it's going to be to identify these movements.
Where should I be?
It's your tour. You point wherever you want to. There's no filming of cars. Let's talk about your REM pod.
Yeah.
Let's pull up the antenna that I had out earlier. Nope, not the yellow one. The little. There you go. Now flip the device around to the back. There's a little lid back there. You're gonna lift it this way. Got it. There's two little white buttons back there. The one closer to the edge is the one you want. So click that into the device. Perfect. So it's gonna go off with your movements. It's super bright. Sorry, I should have warned you.
It's okay.
It's very bright. Now, every time you move around, it's going to go off.
Okay.
So there's a reset button. Right where your thumb is, there's 4 buttons. You
Yeah.
need the bottom one. Keep your thumb on the bottom one pretty much all night long. Every time you click that, every time it goes off, you should reset it. Just
Okay.
so that way, and then stand still as possible. So I know it's going to be hard for you to do because you've been kind of bouncing around since we met. So with that said, sorry.
No.
This is why I have you guys show up early, so I get
how
to
you
do it for
see it,
everybody.
man?
So with that, again, keep clicking it all the time. If it goes back to the same color, obviously we have something going on with motion. These two devices, like the antenna and your screen, work independently. They don't need, you might have a
just
reading
noticed
here.
that.
So you might have a reading on one and not the other. So again, the 2 different types of EMF fields being generated.
What number am I looking at right here if we go above again?
2.5.
2.5. I got it. Okay.
Got it. All right.
Now I'm going to turn that off.
Yeah. And I'll let you know when to turn it back on again. There you
Boom.
go. Got it.
Snap.
Look at him. He's all over it. Love it. Have you heard anything yet?
I can hear like a bunch of stuff, but I can't make anything out.
Okay. So again, it's not an easy task. You will get better as the night goes on. That is probably the hardest job out here. I have another spirit box that I just got. It doesn't record, which is why we're not using it. But it is allegedly taking out all of the white noise and is only supposed to spit out words. So far, what I found in the past 2 weeks since I've had it is that it basically gives us about 12 terms per night only in a 2-hour time frame. Those 12 terms, about 75% of them are accurate to the space. However, it is very difficult for the person to hear it because it comes in such long intervals. You might go 10 to 15 minutes without hearing anything, and all of a sudden something pops up out of it. So unless they're super paying attention, they miss out on it. So I normally pair them up with the thermal imaging because that records audio as well. So that way, in case they missed it, we can listen to it in the recording and kind of see what we missed out on. So again, most of your devices have an accompaniment to kind of go along with it. So that's kind of the way I have this set up. But I wanted to focus on the recordable devices. Are you guys ready to dive into much deeper history than football players and ponies?
Yeah.
All right, Amelia's like, yeah, let's do this. Let's go this way.
I can smell the poop now.
Yeah, right?
No, good. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you get a reading?
I did.
Oh.
Stubby toe.
Very good. Like 2 extra kids on this.
That's good.
All right. Welcome to another beautiful space in Charleston. You're in a parking lot. Good job. So, in the event you guys can't find a parking space by the time I'm done with you, I can't help you. Like, we're gonna hit some lots. So, spirit boxes, both of you, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse in this space. You will get the answers from your spirit boxes. So, what the heck is this space? This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. So their mansion actually sat in the front of this space facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant over there and came all the way across. And then the servant and slave quarters were in the back of the space.
30.5, 30.5.
How? Already?
11.1.
What was that?
11.1. It was 40. Now it's 11.
34.1 and 40.1?
Yeah, and then it back down to 11.
Okay. So at this point, I want you to give me anything.
4.6, 4.2.
Anything above, we'll just say 20 at this point, because I don't want to write down a million numbers. I want to see it progress. So the fact that we're getting already 40, I haven't had a 40 reading here in probably 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty
All right.
good stuff.
Cool.
I'm
I'm
going
trying
to
to bring
explain.
out the dead, you know what I mean?
Let's hope.
Like,
Oh my gosh, stop saying that.
So let's get into what this space actually is. So Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. Do you guys see why I look for secondary clues now? We need to know who the hell we're talking to. So again, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution. It's a pretty big deal for us South Carolinians, at least those of us that live here, but I hate politics more than you. We're going to move on. So, Eliza, she married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, it's not going to be like 12 and 14, just so you know. The reason I bring this up is because Charles, her husband, was over double her age when they married. It's a pretty big age gap between the two of them. But she married him because her father over in England thought he was dying. And he was trying to bring all of his kids home so he could see him one last time. Eliza didn't think he was dying, so she stayed put and got married instead. Now, this is 1744, so there's no such thing as marrying for a green card or for citizenship because we're not even a country yet. And at that point, Dad gets better, and he starts sending her apologetic gifts to this space of right where we're standing. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. You're the only one wearing it tonight. So, that's how we still use it today. She didn't know what to do with these seeds when she got them, so she had to learn from the slaves how to keep them cultivated. So once she figured it out, she moved it to a plantation just north of here, calls her dad over in England, not really because it's the 1740s, and says, hey, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. We now have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Something absolutely unheard of in this country. So with that, that's Eliza's business. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why you guys are all here, right? So Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back. If you want to find out which Eliza we're dealing with, ask what her maiden name is. Reason being is both Elizas, ironically, have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. That's all I'm going to tell you. I know. Weird facts that I find out. Let's see. The mansion's not here anymore. We can ask what happened to it. Obviously, it's gone. And then if we get an answer, we can ask what year that happened. Notice these are very specific questions. Eliza's children. There's more than one. I told you one already, Charles, right? Signer of the Constitution. You can ask what their names are and basically how many there were. Reason being is because there's a tragedy among those children. We don't want to poke the bear. If we poke the bear too much, our 40-point whatevers on the Gauss meter over there are going to go away. So I've seen it happen a dozen times. Let's not poke the bear and ruin the tour for everybody. Again, I've seen it dozens of times because somebody gets too curious. So names and how many, that's it on the kids. As far as Eliza's death, that's where she's really, really open. We can ask her how old she was when she died, where she's buried, what she died from, and what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. Again, very specific things. And of course, there's clues around all of these answers that we can identify. Granted, we have a verifier for it. So we're going to spread out in this space. We're going to not film cars. We're not going to go near cars, basically. We're not going to go in between them. Again, most of the cars in here are going to belong to employees that work downtown, and they sometimes will take their break in their vehicles. We should basically all be looking where John is going because he's going to know where the spikes are, even though he's standing right in the middle of one, apparently, where it went all the way to 40. Just so everybody has a gist on that specific reading, your television set has a lot of wires behind it. That's about a 40 to 60 milligauss reading, depending on how many things you have plugged in. Your microwave running on high goes to 150 if you're standing outside of it, so about 150 to 170. In this space, 2.5, 3 weeks ago, we had a 214. That's the highest I've ever seen that device go. Again, yeah, on your device. Like, I had to step away. I have epilepsy. I don't need that kind of influence. So again, I had to basically stand 10 feet away from the guy and say, how are you feeling? Are you doing okay? Is it still that high? And he was ranging in the high 100s, so like 170s to 190s for about, I don't know, I'd say about a minute to a minute and a half, and then it went dropped down to 0. Like it was nothing. Never happened. It's the craziest thing ever. So let's get that REM pod going for sure. That's your motion sensor. So the white button first, then the antenna. Oh, I'm sorry, the antenna first, then the white button. I got that reversed. So I want to see your word list before we start spreading out. So what you do on that is you hit the little white box next to it, and I'll be able to see everything that's popped up. So far, I've got nothing. So I'm going to reverse it back, so it takes you back to the main screen. And the reason I like this so much is because it gives us timestamps. It kind of lets me know where this is the audio, where I watch the video, in case something does come up relevant. So yeah, I love this thing. I've been using it for years, and it's very relevant every single day. So, yeah, let's spread out in here. And again, intermix those devices. You have a second earbud, so if she wants to listen in with you or somebody else wants to listen in, by all means, do so. You just have to keep your hands closed, spread the wires apart.
And ask questions.
Ask questions, literally, out loud, like you're having a conversation.
I can hear it.
You can't hear shit.
Yeah, it's not easy.
We're getting out of here.
32.7, 35.
See, that's all it is.
Like, they actually seek people who are like, oh, that.
What it's doing is it's creating new files. Files are giant. So what it's doing is it's generating new files. And what I can do, I splice them all together and press them down. So they go it's recording audio. Again, regular NBC, we can hear and see load video. John, with your colors on there, I usually ask for colors with it, so that way she knows exactly what color she needs to go to. Right. So again, I usually go with blue with Eliza just because it's indigo. So yeah, so that's the reason why I use that. How are we doing on that spirit box now? I'm at the one you're listening to.
we're just getting random words.
Like what? No matter how silly you think it might be.
I can't remember. It's just
No,
the
but
word.
I asked.
It's
One of the slaves or something.
oh well, that I can't prove, unfortunately. And it very well may be true. I just can't prove it.
What was it? Two ladies' names that was first too?
Eliza.
Eliza.
Eliza L.
Eliza L. That's right. Exactly. Eliza L. Pinkney. They were both Eliza L.
Anxiety.
Pinkneys. You heard anxiety? Okay. See? Maybe I gave it to the wrong
Maybe
person.
that's coming
Yeah,
from you.
maybe. I can't. Like I. Yeah, I
You
can't
didn't hear that?
No.
Do you want to switch?
You take this. You take this.
There you go. See? That's why we intermingle among the family. And now she's like, I want to
I'll tell you what I specialize in. I do restoration work,
Okay.
but I specialize in neighborhood crime scene.
Family.
So dead people, like, you know.
Family's very common here. That's pretty much nightly.
Oh yeah.
But
Well, yeah. So that's what I do. I've been doing that since 2006.
shit, I just need to go on the job with you for a couple of months.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When it's fresh like that, I'm sure it's active. I have to be there.
I just suit up.
Yeah. So there's a lot of like phone apps that actually work. You make EMF meters for your phone. I have no idea how the hell it works, but it does. Yeah. So the white tells me no ghost hunting. You're on vacation. Misery. I still have my phone. So I can like sneak off somewhere where it might be haunted. And get light.
Started going nuts. It went like 30 something. Oh, it got all the way.
And Janaik, at this point, now that I know you can actually hear it, I'm only going to be writing down the things that are relevant moving forward. Unless it's something where I'm like, I have no idea what the hell that could possibly mean, I'm going to write it down. But family is definitely something relevant because I hear it all the time here. And I also hear the word home or house. So that shows up here all the time too. So normally right around family, so get it again. So just say it down. Can I reset it?
Text with secret.
Those wires pull apart more if you guys need to. Pretty good. There you go. That way you guys don't have the butt heads. And how old are you?
I am 14.
My 15-year-old is like this tall, so I have a hard time judging how old teenagers
really?
are. My 21-year-old is shorter.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah.
So you said you have epilepsy.
Yeah.
So what do we do if you have a
There's meds in my bag. There's medications in my bag. It's a little red vial. And I always have something on me. I'm usually pretty good, like, in as... I have certain signals that I know, like, if things are starting to trigger a little bit, but I always take, my last pill of the day right before I come on the tour. So it kind of keeps me even. But in the event that I'm being influenced by something that's going on tonight, which normally doesn't happen lately, I would say in the past 2 years, I will kind of give you guys that heads up. Like, I will know what the signals are. To the point where, like, guys, I need to chill. I can't see. My eyes will start moving. I'll reverse words in sentence order, so it won't. My name is Nick. My nickname is the kind of thing that'll pop up. So
that'll start happening. Those are the
yeah. So, and I know it. That's the thing. The medications keep me coherent enough to know, like, all right, something is going down. I need to chill, have some water, probably have smoke and relax.
Do you hear words?
No, it's kind of muffled.
Just like little pieces.
Yeah, we will rock you.
Rock you.
Rocky.
Rock you.
I'll read it down. We never know.
No, that's the word.
Oh, see? Eliza's like, nah, that's not happening. Maybe.
Yeah.
That thing is going nuts for him. I'm glad he's having a blast.
Overgrown child. He's like, I'm gonna walk the bridge.
So we're gonna give your spirit boxes another minute before I reveal all the answers here and get you guys. Because again, I'm not gonna leave you hanging.
I find the city absolutely amazing. Every piece of architecture, every sidewalk, it's just
Trouble? Did you hear trouble?
I wasn't paying attention. We're from Ottawa, Ontario.
You guys are Nebraska, right? You have a Nebraska phone number.
Where are you from?
Nebraska. And
Oh.
living in Kansas City right now, and he's a South Carolinian.
Gotcha.
Oh, cool.
Carolinian, is that proper?
Yep. Exactly right. South
I
Carolina.
went to go to Canada for work the other year.
Medication.
I heard meditation.
A meditation.
I don't know.
To Calgary,
Could be
I got to take
medication or medication.
Medication shows up here a lot.
Okay.
medication.
Medication. Medicine, medication. Like I'll usually hear one or the other. Hopefully we get
Back up so I can
another
get-
tie that'll show you why that just gets.
What? I just want to get.
Yeah, like you've got this person, and then I'll just talk to them. Like, you know, like less than people, like I'll just do the like generators.
There's only
Like,
5 of you guys. I used to manage those before.
Do you want to try and switch ears?
Yeah, let's do that.
John? Did you hear John?
I heard. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. You should have put that one in before you. This one's louder.
Oh,
Give
is
me.
it? Oh my, yeah. Nothing much in that one.
Get you guys some answers because we have a couple of terms coming up over here.
I can't hear anything in that.
I know. Careful.
How can I get the sound up here?
here. There's a little button right here. Look, it's a dial. No, it's a roller.
Okay.
It's up and down.
That's
right there.
Figure it out.
loud.
There's nothing. Yeah, it's at the left.
So I'm super stoked, obviously, about the readings that we've gotten from there because I haven't seen readings that high in a few days, we'll just say. So I'm pretty stoked about those readings for certain. The colors that you had, obviously purple and going to red, I was pretty stoked about that. We don't get a whole lot of reds here, so it's very uncommon to
Well, I
see
got
reds.
read about 5 times over there. I just didn't know I was supposed to tell you
Yeah.
because the numbers weren't high. So
It
my
doesn't
bad.
matter. Again, they work independently. So one's creating
But did you hear?
EMF field,
Did
and
you
the
hear?
other one's measuring
I
it.
think I heard
So
God.
they're just two different types of
Good.
EMF
Oh.
fields. So
Or
you can get
something.
false
I
positives.
don't know.
Alright. Works
Yeah,
apart.
listen, look.
Not much.
Can
Over
we
there,
see
I don't know if you know the layout of the house.
Let me put this
Right
one
there was a
in.
bunch of stuff,
Okay.
and then like kind of right there. So
Again.
we know the layout proper, which I don't know if
The
you know.
middle, if
Sorry.
it was lined up over here, like with that little
Oh my
cement
God, there's
pad over
actually
there,
nothing going on.
that's where Eliza's garden is.
Okay. So yeah, there and then
Discovered.
right there. So
Discovered.
was right there.
So let's get into the answers, and I'll show you guys what actually happened here. So the first thing I like to show off.
Green?
What was it?
Green?
Green.
Yeah. I think I have a name for that. I do carry a trigger object in my bag. I honestly forgot to bring it out tonight because this is relatively new too. But I carry a little vial of indigo seeds, the ones that actually make blue dye. So again, this has actually been helping bring some of the answers back to, bring them to light a little bit. But at least it's with me, you know what I mean? So it's not like I forgot to hand it out, but it's a matter of, oh my God, it's still with me. So, the mansion. We didn't hear anything relevant to the mansion, but that's the first thing that I start off with. So while I'm getting this tablet set up to show you the picture pages, Eliza Lucas Pinckney was the wife that planted the indigo. The first wife was Eliza Lamb Pinckney. So Lamb and Lucas were the names you were looking for there. This is Eliza Lucas. This is the one that we were obviously trying to get a hold of. Obviously prominent English woman, blue dress signifying the indigo. So again, I know it's a painting, but I at least like for you guys to know what the heck she looked like. This is where you're standing right now. This is the only photograph of the mansion we have. This is after the fire damage from the Great Fire of 1861. Happened on December 11th, and we do get things key around that. So if we get the word fire or hot or flame, something along those lines, we normally get one of the numbers of 12, 11, or 61. So again, we normally will get another relation to verify that. Now, every tour guide is going to tell you about a great fire of whatever year it happened in. By the way, the two of you can cut your video at this point. Yours is the circle all the way to the right, and then yours is going to be the red square. That way you guys can kind of relax a little bit, kind of give the cameras a break.
Pause it.
Tu vas l'arrêter.
I'm gonna pause it.
Stop it first. Give it a...
Good, how are you? There were probably ballast stones. Ships that went back and forth up there.
Alright, so right where did we hear any other names besides George? Any other names come up on yours?
Glass. It's been there forever.
Glass? Possibility. So
Victory?
when we crossed that last crosswalk where I actually stopped us instead of just crossing, waiting for the green light to go, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. So now we're standing on one of the first streets of Charleston. So that's why I like to bring you down here. Other tourists don't always come down here, so it's kind of our own little space. The reason I ask for names is because people used to live down here. I don't know if you guys noticed, but my voice kind of quieted down in this space. That's a hotel. There could be somebody in that room. We don't spend a ton of time here, but I do like to explain a lot of things. So if I go through this pretty quickly, just ask me to slow
Carrie.
down. Yeah, that doesn't ring a bell. Now, the reason why I ask for names is because I have that full list of residents of every person that's ever lived down here. Now, when I say that people live down here, I'm only talking like 2 to 6 people at a time. So, again, just kind of scattered throughout the alley. The names I commonly get are Benjamin and John. Now, John obviously being very common, considering we have 2 of them here tonight. But the John that we have, he will give us his last name as well, Johnson. Yes, his name was John Johnson. So, both of those gentlemen lived here in 1801. Do I have anything specific about 1801 that actually occurred here? I don't. But I get those same 2 names every 6 to 7 weeks. It's almost on cue. I just can't judge when it's going to come. We've been getting Ben and John all week long. So again, I'm right at the edge where I'm about to start that loop over again because I won't hear it for another 6 to 7 weeks. Here's why I think it's happening. You're standing on Belgian blocks. These are made purely of granite. Now, you guys all seem like you're into the paranormal, at least watching the television shows. You've heard the term limestone, right? It stirs up activity because it's straight from the earth. Granite, when it's in the same place, it kind of falls into the stone tape theory. This has been here for hundreds of years. So it's hanging on to the consciousness of memories and stirring it up and playing it on a loop over and over
Do you
and
just
over
want
again.
names or other words?
Sometimes other words make sense
Yeah, I
too.
heard
What do you
help.
think? Would help?
Help.
So I did find a newspaper clipping of 2 women that got into an argument here, and they both got arrested. So I don't know if that help has anything to do with it, Lodge Alley, but again, it's kind of vague. Well, they did do an archaeological dig underneath these bricks. They found some of the tools and silverware, that kind of thing. They were able to analyze it that they were actually lower class people. They put the bricks back, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But the lower class thing makes sense because the other side of the Charlestown Wall would have been across the street on East Bay Street. So the smell of low tide would be coming through here all the time. The rich of Charleston are not going to put up with that. If you've been down to the Battery, you've noticed that the houses are skinny in front and go long back. They're that way for 2 reasons. First off, it keeps the smell of low tide out. We have piazzas here. That's a front porch with a door. So the door stops the smell of low tide from coming in. They open up their 2nd-story window, and the cool air from the water comes in and actually air conditions the house because cool air drops and hot air rises. So old-school air conditioning. The second reason they're skinny in the front is because they were taxed based on how much street side they took. So the skinnier the house, the less taxes you pay. Now the Pinckney Mansion that we just left sat broad against East Bay Street. They're outside the city walls for one. They were obviously some kind of politicians all living there, plus Alexander lived here in 1855. So we'll see if something, if that pops up a second time, to be able to verify it. Or the number 55. So again, very interesting. There's a lot of double names in here. John Johnson, Alexander, and there's one other one, I can't remember what it is. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. Like, I'm stoked about that, along just as much as I was about his readings at the Pinckney Mansion. Enormous? Yeah, nothing enormous in here. There were little tiny houses. With the Pinckneys, their house was broad because it was bragging rights. They didn't care about the taxes. They had money. They're going to pay them. So that's just kind of how that went down. Before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here. So that's where it gets its name from, Lodge Alley. So we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons. Obviously, we're Freemason, Mason, and I've even had the term Illuminati showed up 6 times last year and twice so far this year. First off, who the hell's talking about the Illuminati on the radio? And second, why am I only hearing it in this space? So again, take that for what it's worth. We are going to go through the rest of this alley. The next place we're going to go to is another alley, but I cannot take you through it. Here's why.
Yeah,
I got booted out of that next alley. You guys are on the annoying tour. You have your blinky lights and your noisemakers. You know,
yeah.
So at the end of the alley, it is considered residential. So I got caught one night. I will tell you all about that once we go to that space. That's the fun part of the whole story because it is relevant to the next story. But I will take us to the outside of it because it still stirs up a ton of activity. As we exit this alley, we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood. So you're going to shut off both videos as we exit. We don't record in neighborhoods. So once we get to the next space, I'll kind of place the two of you, like where we get the best footage through that alley of the next spot, and then we'll kind of take it from there. Spirit Box is definitely listening in. You're still probably going to have some false positives coming through, so we'll kind of see how that goes until the next space. Okay. But if you get anything in here, anything above 4, I would say in this space, would probably be definitely relevant.
But this space?
Like Lodge Alley.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I'm at with this one, because we're going to get a lot of stuff from the building, so I usually go to anything much higher, and it's going to be quick. I don't want it to be very steady and stay on the screen for a long time. Otherwise, it's going to be just something that's So let's cut through the rest of this alley and head on to the next one. Get the fun stories, right? Conspicuous with cameras here, just because other tours might be touring down there, and of course they didn't sign up for the filming. You guys did. So again, perfect. So again, you're holding a cell phone, so perfectly fine. So, yep, you're blinking. I already checked it out. I'm on it. So this is Philadelphia Alley. We're actually allowed to tour about halfway through this, like halfway down. But again, it's not fair because the other tours are actually go all the way up to 20 people, where I only go to 10. We're trying to investigate a space. It's not fair for us to go 10 people around 20 to 40. So that's why I tell the story out here, because we're going to get, evidence from this story through the rest of the night. Like, that's how this one works. It's a little crazy. So this used to be called Duelers Alley. This is where the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston, which is why I got you guys filming down there to see if anything's actually going to pop up. So here's this. We all tell the same story. So mine's a little bit. I tell it differently because you're ghost hunting. It's not just a ghost story. So there's going to be a lot of word clues in here. So there's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because his fiancée, Amanda, and yes, I know we got the name Amanda on that word list earlier, but we are too far away for it to be relevant here. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. You guys already heard, hundreds of dollars. So I was kind of like, okay, we'll see if something else pops up around that. She has an attorney helping her out with this cash flow, and the attorney thinks that the doctor's just after her money. Bank? More money terms. So, sorry guys, my nose is super itchy. My wife must be talking about me. But at any rate, I know, it's been itchy all night though.
That means you're going to kiss a fool.
That means you're about to come into money.
No, that's itchy palm.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Nose itchy is somebody's talking
I know what
about
that means.
Ringing in. Never mind.
Back to the doctor, everybody. Jeez.
Got you completely distracted.
Talking about superstitions on a ghost tour. Come on. I know, right?
Inherent.
Inherit?
Inherent.
Oh. I thought you said inherit. I was all stoked. I'm like, that's a great one.
Told you, itchy nose, man.
Itchy nose. All right. I lost track of where the hell I was. So.
The doctor.
Oh, the doctor, the attorney's telling Amanda to get rid of the doctor. So the doctor, to prove that he's not just after her cash, he moves to Charleston. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. Somebody walking by with the name of Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop there because Ralph actually has this. Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. R.I. shows up here all the time. If we don't get the I, we at least get the R. However, we always need that secondary clue, so that way we know exactly who it belongs to, which main character. But Ralph tells the doctor, you don't want to stay here. He's got a gunman inside, he's going to try to kill you. He's like, I got some friends at 59 Church Street that'll rent you a room and you'll be safe and good to go. The doctor takes him up on the offer, and Dr. Ladd and Ralph become friends. So, the doctor's practice takes off. He's making his own money now. Amanda's moving down soon. He's proving his point. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. I'm going to stop there. Every haunted city you all will ever visit in the future will have a cliched whistling ghost. Ours is a doctor. Just go with it. So, it's a joke, everybody. You're supposed to chuckle. Now, with that, the doctor and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the way the hierarchy went. He gets better seats. So they talk about these plays on the way home. One night they go see William III from Shakespeare, and the doctor thought the new actress in town was fantastic.
Doctor.
We get it here all the time. I'm going to remind me to write that one down. They start arguing over this actress. The doctor thought she was great. Ralph, not so much. It gets even more heated when Ralph starts insulting Amanda, the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. So they go their separate ways. Ralph is from here. He goes to his friends at the newspaper, and he puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees the ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn. Yeah, I know. I try to get to the good stuff. I know. So they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened in a duel. Ralph has his one shot. Sorry, John. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. So the doctor doesn't die either, but Ralph proved his point that he's still pissed off. So the doctor's friends pick him up. They carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. He was a doctor. He probably tried to bleed out the bullet himself. Now, they say as you walk through the alley, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. Now, even outside of here, I've had songs come through with just whistling. Guns N' Roses' Patience, whatever that Maroon 5 song is with the whistling in it. Like, it comes through here all the time, and I'm never looking for it. It just happens. It's just one of those pieces. Now, if you guys are going to go down there on your own without me, because obviously I've been booted out, and you turn on your voice recorders listening for whistles, keep in mind all the locals know the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street on the other side throws a whistle down the alley every single time. I do it every night on my way back to my garage, which is right there. We end over there. So again, I pass the alley. Me and my daughter will race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. She just doesn't know that I can throw a whistle while I'm talking. So again, I'm usually quicker, and I win every night when she's here. So just keep in mind when you're going through there, there's a lot of hecklers that are going to try to do it. And I always do it when there's another tour down there, especially since I got booted out. So let's talk about that, right? Because that's the fun part. Again, it's residential at the end. I would used to take my tours all the way through down to the end. The reason being is because this alley didn't always come all the way through to Cumberland Street. The bricks at the other side are older. Those were sun-dried bricks from slave children. It would always show off a handprint and a couple of fingerprints that were left in the bricks from those slave kids. Everybody wants to put an EMF meter or a spirit box or something near one of those bricks. However, especially the handprint, because there's only one of them. I treat that the same way I do a grave. You're not going to hang out, and that kid's not staring at that brick in the afterlife. So, one night, November 26, 2020, my group is all huddled around that one brick, and it's right outside a gentleman's dining room window. He was not pleased. He came out and started screaming. My daughter thought it was hilarious because Dad's getting yelled at. So the next night was November 27th of 2020. That was Thanksgiving that year, so I did not tour. The next night after that, or the next morning, on November 28th, I got a phone call from the tourism office asking me to go down halfway like everybody else or reroute my tour, which is where we're going tonight. I told my team that night, we're going to wing it because I can only do so much research in one day. And I didn't even believe the story. We were going to be discussing pirates. It was not my thing. I'm a vampire guy through and through, so pirates are not my thing. Before I even tell them what we're going to be getting into, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I've been in that place dozens of times. I never had any pirate lore come through on any spirit boxes or anything before. So we get there, I tell them what I know, and somebody else hears the number 300. What was it?
Brother.
Somebody else hears 300. I have no idea what 300 is. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. This is stuff I cannot make up.
You know the new Anne Bonny's?
Yeah, I just heard
My
about
brother opened that. He's with the,
Really?
he works with the Prohibition group.
Okay.
Yeah, tomorrow night they're doing the big, they're doing all the media stuff for the grand opening.
Nice.
He wants to go.
Got it from... And wait a minute, you just heard brother.
Yes.
Brother, yeah.
Oh, man!
That's what you were listening
What's
to.
his name?
What? His name's Will.
Oh,
Yeah, my brother's doing, yeah.
it's like a piano.
What I thought was you were saying pirate, and you always told me like you guys are pirates.
In family, yeah.
Family. And you said pirate, and then you said brother, like, as you were talking about pirates. I was like,
That's very cool. Yeah. So this ought to be very interesting once we
this
go
would
up
be
there.
great.
So as the next space we're going to go to, I still want you guys looking at your spirit boxes and listening, and you're going to let me know what you hear once we get around the corner. There's like 15 stories on this corner. I kind of let the evidence at this point take over if something's going to occur, because there is so much going on in that corner. If you guys don't give me anything that's relevant, I'll go into my normal go-to stories and get us prepped for this crazy Anne Bonny story, and this way you can learn a little something before going to visit the place. So I don't know how long you're going to be in town for this grand opening, but who knows? But yeah, this is a kind of a crazy corner we're going into, and again, normally we're like fighting for space as far as tours. It gets very busy up there, but it just seems like there's nobody touring tonight besides me, which is super
that's
great,
great.
right?
Should I turn
know,
off the
right?
camera?
part of why we were like, let's do this now.
It was a shortcut to bring the dead body to the cemetery behind me this way. Otherwise, remember the alley didn't go all the way through. They'd have to go all the way down to Queen and come back down around with dead weight, and that would actually just stall them from getting to go celebrate the winter. So again, that's the whole point. But yeah, I call it the death gate, and it always, you know, the wrought iron gate on there is always locked, but I don't think a whole lot of people know why that gate was actually there. So, I know, crazy stuff, but go ahead and have a seat. We're going to chill here for a minute. You're going to tell me if you've heard anything else besides struggles. Any words come up on yours, John?
Man, cure,
Cheer?
cure.
Cure. Got it. Yeah, have a
Quit.
seat. All right, so every ghost tour in town, go ahead and have a seat, ladies. We're going to chill here for a few.
Can you put it in?
So you can get much closer if you want, because you're otherwise just going to get bars. I mean, you can get right on top of these bars, so that way we can actually get some of the cemetery. Sarah, I want you to bring your camera over here and just point it at this sign in front, so that way everybody can read it on their video.
No.
Because you're going to be able to see it through your camera.
No ghost, but the haunted ghost.
But this way you guys kind of have that little memento. This side is normally closed off to the public because they're always working on it. Not to mention rubbing is illegal in South Carolina. That's where you basically take a pencil or a piece of chalk or a piece of paper and do rubbings on the gravestones, so that way you can have the information.
Oh, wow, that's
It's illegal because it damages the stone. You do it so many times, it's going to wear it down. Which was
The entire state?
the entire state of South Carolina illegal. Trust me, I know. I visit a lot of cemeteries.
That's a good thing, though. A good thing it's illegal.
Yeah, it is. Very interesting to see that headstones and graves will actually show up as orange and yellow.
Have you ever done any of the investigative things up around like that super old cemetery in Southport? There's one right there, so it's wild. Oh, you got stuff back here.
Yeah, email me that stuff because I keep like email folders by state.
Okay.
Because you guys email me stuff all the time from wherever people are from.
Okay.
So if I'm ever passing through there, because I do travel.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Well, from here it's what, 3.5 hours to get there?
Yeah.
It's not far at all. Yeah.
Any words coming through over there, Janae? She can't hear me.
static.
Static. That's the word you have?
No,
Oh.
that's she's getting.
You heard anything?
Just random, like not even full words, like some
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, let's go.
every look.
Yeah. Oh, look is good. Oh, by the way, that light over there off to the left is pointed right at this sign on purpose to try to deter photographers from trying to recreate that photo again. So, again, if you notice, it's a lot different than the lights from the city, which are in the back. That is a light that the church put in to try to deter people.
Oh, that's wild. So is this the grave right here?
The grave is actually a little bit further back. I want to say it's off to the right a little
Okay.
bit. Again, I've never been on this side. I've only been
Country, Sweden.
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 That's interesting.
Is that relevant?
Not to my knowledge, but I'm going to look into it for sure. Like, that's very specific. Great. Let's go deep dive into Anne Bonny across the street. Let's go learn a few things.
Kelly.
Kelly?
I find it hilarious because she's very hard of hearing. She is, and heard it like I couldn't hear any words coming out of it.
Oh, really?
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks.
Personality back there.
I got that one.
And performance.
Performance.
Okay, I got productive.
We're just talking about Dock Street Theater. Well, this is my last hurrah. This is my big crazy story. This story has a ton of holes in it. So again, you all are getting a very good gist on how your devices work. So awesome on you. Your device will hopefully give us quite a bit out of this location.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be stoked, especially since I almost feel like with what you told us about your brother's new place opening up, you might actually have a tie, considering we've already heard the word brother right before you started telling us about.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm pretty stoked to see what happens here. So we're going to be discussing first that little tiny building up there with the crosses on it. Those are not crosses; those are earthquake bolts. Earthquake bolts are turnbuckles. In the event we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, they say, which we haven't, by the way. You're supposed to be able to turn those turnbuckles and it'll straighten the building back up again. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. I bring these up because this is the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in, because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. We are here because this place is familiar to Anne Bonny. So it's kind of like using a toy to attract a child first. It's the same principle. We don't have many buildings this old. So we talked about the original Charlestown walls earlier as well. I'd like to at least give you a little bit more history on the building before we get into Anne Bonny. That garage over there is where the wall stood. So it went up past the powder magazine and started going south towards the battery. So we're literally locked into the corners right now of where the wall stood. This is a gunpowder magazine. If it gets attacked from a Revolutionary warship or a pirate ship from 3 blocks away, this is the furthest away it could be and still be within the city to be protected. But those cannonballs are going to have a hard time getting through the 32-inch thick walls. Like, they're huge. But let's say that it does, and it goes all the way through and it blows up the gunpowder. There is sand in the roof from the early 1700s during its construction that's supposed to go up in the air with the explosion and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. That's another great idea that doesn't work. We had another powder magazine closer to the battery. It did get hit. The sand went up. The building burned to the ground. It doesn't exist. This one's just never been attacked, even though it served in 7 different wars, including the Civil War. So this is a pretty important building for us. It is a museum now, so if you ever need to get out of Peter Cole here in South Carolina, that's a great place. Again, not an advocate, just love this building. So, again, we're here because this building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Not at all. 10 years, small building? Yeah, I know. Our story actually begins right in the middle of it. So, John, come see how accurate I am. Since, obviously, the brother owns something called Anne Bonny's. Young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Are you guys with me so far? I know there's a lot of twists. The 3 of them are running away from his wife. Yeah, kind of crazy stuff. How angry was the Irish wife? Just saying. So they land in Georgetown, just north of here. Dad buys a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly, which means he has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to sell anything from the plantation and keep things afloat. Anne back home in Ireland was kind of a badass. She actually killed one of her servants when she was like 10 or 12 years old with a knife to the belly. So I want you to keep that mentality about her as we go through the rest of this. We're going to fast forward. The building's done in 1713. In 1715, pirates are coming through town, and Anne is stoked because she's going to fall in love. First guy, James Bonny. Obviously, you can kind of see where this is going already. Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica, they get married. Anne Cormack becomes Anne Bonny. When they get there, this is not the swashbuckling Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy is a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward. So this is not who she wants. A few years later, she falls in love again. Guy number 2. Guy number 2 turns out to be John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is the same character that they based Jack Sparrow off of, just so you guys know. He is kind of a quirky fella, but he has his own ship, and Anne wants to be part of it. You cannot put a girl on the crew. Girls curse pirate ships. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, you could be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. He's the captain. That's the way it's going to go down. She's okay with this cross-dressing because Dad used to hide her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, let's do this. So with that said, I don't know what this guy's doing. Let's put 2 and 2 together. Being a female in the captain's quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. All right, somebody's going to figure out she's a girl. So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby. These are friends of mine, and come back later. We'll figure it out. So she has the baby, but returns with no child. We have no idea what happened to that child. Yeah, she's also dressed like a female. She doesn't give a damn anymore about hiding her gender. So this makes Jack pretty angry. While she was away giving birth to his, to his child, he actually captured another pirate crew, and they're down below deck. Anne's gonna go flirting because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females dressed like guys on the same ship. It's kind of uncanny. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. She falls in love with Mary Reed and they become friends, possibly lovers, we'll never know for certain. And Mary becomes part of the crew. The British find out where they are and they send their entire fleet of ships to come down and take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only two not drunk enough to come up and fight with their one-bullet flintlocks to try to save the ship. Obviously, they're going to get taken. There's a whole fleet of British ships taking them down. So, as they're being arrested, she looks at her captain and beau and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." So, with that said, the word dog shows up here quite frequently on the spirit box. It actually showed up here last night on a different spirit box. The judge, his name is Nicholas Laws. He wants to see the two men that fought back by themselves. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken crew that wouldn't come up and fight, so they're gone. The two ladies go in front. They reveal their gender, trying to save themselves. He doesn't care. They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they said, meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail and delays the hanging. Dad is still here in Charleston with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, guy number 4. Yes, we're going to count Mary, because we'll never know. And has 4 children and dies at the age of 84. I know, very abrupt ending again. However, Mary Reed died in a Jamaican jail in 1721 from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. I'm sure it was bumpy and gross and scurvious and whatever you want to come up with. We have no idea if either pregnancy claim was true. And I only left out 2 things on purpose for the spirit boxes, so that way you guys can ask whatever you want to. 2 things I left out were the name of Anne Bonny's parents, that's the father and the mistress, and then I left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. I did that on purpose, so that way you guys can have something to at least get started with. For those of you with cameras, if you would like to go to the front of the powder magazine to actually get some footage of the building from there, you can. But I am going to hold on to you guys for 1 more minute because I told you at the beginning of the tour that people have passed out. This is a story where it's actually relevant, so give me 1 more minute of your time. Back in September, it was much cooler than this actually. I brought my team back here. It's probably 7 to 8 people. The kid next to me goes white as a ghost, pun intended. I have to pick him up by his armpit. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side. We take him over to that brick wall, which is where we're going to end, by the way, close to the building. There's a little stoop over there he can sit on. I send the boyfriend over with a couple of dollars to get him a bottle of water. He comes back. He's feeling better. I then tell the story. After I spread everybody out with all of their devices, they pull me aside and say, "Nick, we have to tell you something." I'm like, "What's going on?" "We are 2 transgender males," meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary, on my tour. This is stuff I can't make up. I'm a good writer, but damn, that was a good one. I cannot make that stuff up. They're perfectly fine with me telling you guys this every night because it made sense as to why one of them felt faint the minute we entered the space. We actually had some pretty good activity come up that night. Relative terms, movement on the REM pod, like it was a good night. There was some really good stuff going on here. This is a hit or miss location. We're either going to have a lot or we're not going to have anything at all. So I'll kind of know within the first 5 minutes of whatever's coming through the spirit boxes. We are going to turn on your REM pod in here, John. So
Yeah, gotcha.
For sure. But yeah, let's spread out. Let's have some fun. I'm going to head over to the wall and let you guys go to work and come back and see me in like 5 minutes. I'll kind of recap and see if we need to keep going or not.
Cool.
But yeah, if you want to, go up to the front to get some footage with her, just don't interrupt the other tours. That's the only thing I ask, and they're not really out tonight anyway, so you guys pretty much have free reign.
Cool.
Wow.
2-1.
2-1.
2-1.
Mary Reed died in 1721.
Oh, there you
See why you guys keep me around?
Very cool.
go. Spirit.
Of course. John, what are those colors over there?
Trial. I was like essentially sitting on a space, and then there was.
Wow. That's a visual I will never forget now. Let's do it.
I don't do it.
I heard that. going to the front of the building to take
Oh,
a
you
look.
can do that? Okay. Yeah.
Brave.
Mm. Oh, look at that.
Come in and get some footage beyond the bars.
Good idea.
Very cool.
Nothing.
Principal. Second time I see that word.
Principal or principal? Principal.
Like, I have beats that I use, but I have to use both. I mean, I listen to it every single day. John, let me see that word list. Let me see how you're doing on that. But,
Principal. That's come on, Floyd.
like, not a whole
Try
principle.
this again?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear him.
That's why I said it. It sounds so funny. Like you can't. Yeah.
Let's move closer to this wall so he can move around.
We're better at it.
He had medical over by Large Alley, or by Philadelphia Alley. You didn't tell me you had medical.
Hey?
Medical showed up over by Philadelphia
Yeah,
Alley.
yeah, I told you that.
I must have missed that.
Was medical was right after there was another word there.
My arms hurt.
Inherent
Do you want me
bank.
to? Yeah.
Yeah, you were talking
Don't-
about Mike. Yeah.
Okay, don't put
Bank.
your hand on that side because that's where the camera is, like over here.
Made glass.
What do you mean?
No, goes to
Oh, wait, are we near? I got red.
You have a red? Is it from you moving around?
I had red, went away real fast. You got red.
Try this.
Any numbers? Show up, John?
No, I hadn't gotten above 3.5.
Well, 3.5
Ooh,
is
here you
decent
go.
for this location.
Look at
I got two devices.
Oh, look at this.
I see it. That's pretty nuts.
Only that power line, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's kind of far away for it to be giving us. Like, you're actually in like the perfect spot
Well, I got it again.
because he's not too close to the street where he's going to pick up the parking meters, but he's not going to pick up anything from the buildings either. Like, he's in a perfect spot.
Oh yeah, ours is much better. That's a giant tour. Then you have to like run and try
That's
to
actually a
catch up.
smaller floor.
Really?
Oh, well, there's some more people joining. Yeah, again, they usually pack them in all the way up to 20. See why I like to do the smaller groups? You guys get my personal attention all night long.
Yeah, this, like, we learned so much.
Well, this way you get to interact. You get to ask
Yeah.
questions. Like, I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah.
With something like that, it's, you know, you're standing and listening. Oh, you're getting some flickering.
Yeah, it was good.
That's because he's moving though, right? Is that?
He keeps reset. Like, that's nuts.
What? That's awesome. A party. I like it.
Party. Any numbers on there, John? While that's doing that.
No, nothing above like 1.5.
Okay, that's pretty natural. But that was pretty nuts that it was in a can of feed.
Nice. Oh, yeah. Oh, did you really? So she's gonna get robbed.
That's probably coming.
Now it says hurt.
What did it say before that?
Bush.
I told him
Say
to
go to the
closer
bush.
to the bush.
It's weird, huh?
Nuts, and then it said hurt. Now it says spine.
You getting anything, Amelia?
That's nuts.
That's crazy.
That's cool.
Yeah, like that's.
They said come near the bush, and then it started going. It started, you know,
it
it's
says
like
hurt spine.
Yeah, maybe like come back here.
Well, here's the thing. If you know how, like when they hung people, mainly pirates, it's because they wanted to break the spine. It wasn't about the neck or choking somebody to death. It was to break the spine, and they would immediately die. Sometimes, if they didn't draw hard enough because they were a light person, then they would choke to death.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they were trying to break the spine, because that's what happens. Why the noose goes the way that it does up the side of your neck. They're trying to pull on that, so that way when you fall, it breaks the spine. So it says hurt spine.
Yeah.
Just saying. I'm stretching it, but
So people get.
Oh, that was my hand.
okay. I was gonna say, dude, what do you have
My
going
hand.
on over there?
That was my hand.
Are you hearing anything?
Yeah, but not stuff that really makes sense.
Or what are you hearing? Maybe I can make sense of it.
It's like half words here and there, like,
Okay.
you know.
That's why we record the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I can go through it again. Other than his craziness, like you guys haven't told me anything. Those numbers, I have no idea what it is. We did hear 2-1 on the spirit box.
Yep.
Mary Reed died in 1721. So I'll be looking for words like Reed, or even the name
Yeah.
Mary.
I heard David.
David. All right, so
That's a good one.
kind of. It's frustrating. Here's why. I'm gonna set my bag down. So let's rally up. Let me tell you what's going on. So I have this new spirit box that I told you guys about earlier that's supposed to take out the white noise and only
Yeah.
give us like 10 to 12 words per night. One of the things that keeps popping up on that damn spirit box in this location is the name David. I can't find a David that would tie anything to the powder magazine that's super important, or any kind of pirate David that would actually make any kind of sense. The first 2 nights that I was using that new spirit box, David came up twice, and I didn't even bring it up to the second person. Obviously, I didn't bring it up to you. So why the hell do I keep getting the name David here? Again, it's pissing me off because I can't find the damn relation. Sorry, it's one of those pieces where, as a writer, I should be able to find it, and I can't find it. So, I'm glad you heard it, but I'm pissed off about it because I'm gonna dig again and hopefully find
It
something.
means something
It
for
has
sure.
to.
Yeah.
I keep getting it over and over and over again.
So, the research that you do, where do you like go to get this information?
I mean,
In
I obviously start with
libraries, or-
Google, but I'm looking for
Okay.
valid websites. You know,
Okay.
things that are going to give me actual information, especially like, for example, I'm going to type in, again, David in quotes on Google and put in Powder Magazine Charleston after it and see where I can start getting things. I thought she sneezed.
What'd you hear?
No, I thought I heard dozens of royal feet.
Dozens of royal feet.
Probably not.
I'm writing it down.
Probably not. No, we'll say he did.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
Again, usually your first instinct is what you have.
Well, those are English boxwoods. That type of bush right there? Aren't those
Yeah.
boxwoods?
Okay.
English boxwoods?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what relevance
English,
does that
royal, like feet, roots, dozens.
Well,
It
here's
said bush.
where the other term where royal is going to come into play. It'll make sense here in a moment. So I didn't even put that together until just now. So let's get into the picture pages, right? So let's wrap this one up.
6.
Royal
Party 100.
You have 6?
Yep. 6th.
Party 100, she said.
Sixth?
Yeah.
6th bush, maybe?
Sue Howard Hardy died
Dave?
6 days after her stillborn child. I will tell you that the number 7 shows up here all the time. There's a couple of reasons. First off, Dr. Ladd from Philadelphia Alley was born on July 7th, 7/7. So if we hear it twice, it's usually relatable to him. This powder magazine behind me served in 7 different wars. John Calhoun, our 7th vice president, is buried on the other side of that wall. We hear 7 here all the time. However, in the past couple of nights, nothing. Nothing at all. I like to show you what Anne Bonny looked like, just because, and this is one of the few pictures I could find of her with a shirt on. She liked to bare her breast to show men that they were just killed by a woman. So again, I get a lot of teenage boys on this tour. I don't need angry moms too. I also like this picture because it shows off the flintlocks. So the flintlocks are the guns. I'm not a gun person by any means, but I love the flintlock just because it actually evolved over time. I'm infatuated with the ornateness of it. So there's a lot of decorum that goes into this guy. Like I'm fascinated by it. And I don't want to say like this is actually wrong. Like she probably would have been using a duckbill, which is much shorter. And, womb?
Wound.
Oh, well that's talking about pirates, obviously. The name of her parents, William Cormack, Mary Brennan. You guys were not expecting a secondary Mary because we already talked about Mary Read. It's one of the reasons why I left that question out. So again, I subliminally put it there, but you guys still came up with nothing. What's funny is normally when I hand the spirit boxes over to teenagers, they usually come up with both names like right off the top. It's uncanny like how it happens, and it's usually like young boys. I don't know what it is. I like to show off Calico Jack too, just because he was named because of the jackets that he wore. They came from the men that he killed, which were obviously from the British. So that's why he was called Calico Jack. So this is one of the few pictures you can find of him that's actually anything relevant, like close to it. Yeah, doesn't. Well, hang on, it's going to get even better. The name of his ship was called the Kingston, that I told you guys to ask about. Obviously, I don't expect Kingston to come through, but I do expect king. However, we did get the word royal tonight. So again, I'll kind of stretch that a little bit and say, okay, we'll see what happens and see what I find in the morning, because again, I'm going to spot check it too. At this point, I'm going to start collecting devices. You guys can ask me more questions if you'd like. I'm an open book, as I'm sure you guys imagine. I've already been telling you about my ailments and what medications I need when I have a seizure. So, again, I'm an open book if you guys have more questions. We're going to go ahead and stop your videos at this point. So,
What device is your favorite?